Just a little note I've interjected here, this is my first edit of the video after I've just received a copyright claim for using the fucking footage from BBC's new episode of Doctor Who. They do this all the time, so I'm just redacting some of it at the start, and you might see black screens now and then. So yes, thank you for your acknowledgement. With the first episode of Doctor Who Series 13 Flux, titled The Halloween Apocalypse, releasing just this morning, I thought I'd best make a review on it like 80% of YouTube has done already. Now, I think I should forewarn that there will be indefinite spoilers in this video, so if you haven't watched the first episode, the first chapter, I should say, of Flux for yourself, I would advise that you go ahead and do that now, as opposed to watching this and having the whole thing completely spoiled for you. So there is your warning before we commence. So firstly, I'd just like to say that I'm astonished, frankly astonished, at the way that Chibnall seems to have transformed from an absolutely incompetent writer to one with, not perfection, but one who shows promise and a cadence that, well, that is just completely alien to the one that he was showing before. He seems to have undergone some sort of change, or he's finally come around to all the criticisms that were lying at his front door, given all the controversy surrounding the Timeless Child retcon, and all the countless severings from the New Who and Classic Who that he had committed to with Series 11 and 12. And while this episode was nowhere near perfect, it did have one thing that I thought that Chibnall was completely incapable of presenting to us. Substance. For once during Chibnall's era, I wasn't watching a bland, uninteresting, melodramatic, and completely disconnected from the rest of the Doctor Who, Doctor Who episode produced by nobody's favourite showrunner, Chris Chibnall. Okay, sure, you can beat me to the argument that Yaz was still boring as shit and only existed to lurk in the Doctor's shadow and ask completely arbitrary and stupid questions, but my point remains. John Bishop is already an addition that I absolutely love. He has such a flair about him, and it's just completely contrary to anything I've seen from Chibnall's era thus far. I love his Scouse accent, and I love just how his character Dan cherishes his city, and honestly, let me tell you, Liverpool was a great break from fucking Sheffield. I also found myself quite enjoying the character of Vinda, portrayed by Jacob Anderson, who admittedly I did not know before this episode, and to a lesser degree, Claire, portrayed by Annabelle Schooley, who I think I know from that one Harry Potter game? Yep, IMDb said that she played Ginny. While we're on the topic, can I just revel in the fact that we're getting fucking Blake Harrison on the show? I mean, we got green-haired James Buckley, we've got Blake Harrison, so theoretically, that only leaves Simon Bird and Joe Thomas. Come on, boys. Fucking do it. What I will say, though, is the episode did feel quite cluttered, with all the subplots of the Sontarans, those alien sibling people who I kind of recognize, the angels, and the whole Carvanista thing. When you add on top of that, the whole story arc with Claire and Vinda, and just the Flux in general, it doesn't leave much time for John Bishop, who should be making a massive debut in the first episode alone. But the Halloween Apocalypse does perfectly signpost what I believe will be the rest of Chibnall's final season. It's got me excited for the reintroduction of the Ood, an alien species who I think were just absolutely perfectly handled under Davies, and who I am extremely excited for, given all the photos we've got of the new design. The Ood have come to be one of my favourite alien species in the entire series. They were great in The Impossible Planet and the Satan Pit, and Planet of the Ood, and to a lesser extent also in The End of Time. That Ood Elder is sick. In spite of all the great monster and alien reveals that we have had thus far, I have had the hope that the Silent Priest would make an unlikely return. I did rewatch Day of the Moon last night, and I can safely say now that the priests are one of my favourite alongside the Ood. However, I guess Ood, Sontarans, and Angels is quite enough for me. I mean, we get the Cybermen as well, again. So I guess then it'll just be a matter of time before we know if all this amazing promotional material, if I do say myself, will live up to the promise it's created, or if Chibi will just throw it down the drain yet again. Although we can only hope that Blake Harrison does not let us down. and take us back to Sheffield. Those intro credits though. Oh yeah, and what was that whole arc in Liverpool 1820 for? Seriously.